it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Thank you guys for bearing with me over the last few days as I have not been feeling good. I am doing a little bit better today. I went to the doctor. Thank you guys so much for your pushing me to go. I did go, and we are on a new regimen of medications to help me clear this bump on my head. So in the meantime, fresh-faced, fancy-free Katie is how you're gonna see me. And I am okay, I promise. Let's get started because, oh my gosh, Kanye West is kind of making a mockery of the United States government, and I just wanna talk about it. So Kanye West decided like on July 4th, literally 4 months before the election, that he was gonna run for president because that's what you do. And he has been going around the country trying to submit ballots in order to become eligible to get on ballots in different states because he's missed the deadline in like a bunch of states. He won't even be able to obtain 270 electoral votes because he literally can't get on enough states at this point to even win the election. But that's not stopping him from this disastrous run onto in a presidency for presidency. Now the weird thing here is this run is not only going to maybe get him in trouble for his businesses, but dude could almost maybe go to jail. Yes, I'm not even lying. He could literally be getting some charges here because he's kind of doing things maybe sort of illegal. And it all started in New Jersey. So here's what's happening. In the state of New Jersey, he submitted this petition to get onto the ballot, and he submitted a bunch of signatures. And he submitted 1,327 signatures to be exact in order to get onto the ballot. Well, an election judge or an election attorney did an evaluation of all of these signatures, and they determined that at least 733 of the 1,327 signatures that were submitted were actually fraudulent. So here's what happens. An election attorney, Scott Solomon, does a deep dive into his signatures in the state of New Jersey, and they determine that there's a bunch of signatures where they are missing names. They either have a first name and no last name. They don't have a municipality. They've never been registered to vote. They don't even know what the name is, or it's not legible, or the person didn't even live in the state of New Jersey. So more than half of the signatures he provided to the state actually were not even like reasonable. They weren't valid, meaning he sent in a fraudulent petition to run for president to get on the ballot in New Jersey, and that's actually a crime. So falsifying government documents to get into an election and to get onto a ballot is actually called election fraud. So the state of New Jersey actually was going to hold a hearing about his petition, and Kanye suddenly was like, oh, peace out. Just kidding, I'm not gonna do this. We're not gonna get onto the New Jersey ballot, and they pulled out. So his campaign was like, at this time, Kanye 2020 has no further option than to regrettably withdraw from New Jersey and cease further efforts to place Mr. West's name on the New Jersey ballot, to which the state, Scott Solomon, was like, well, I'm glad to see that he's doing this because he literally wouldn't have had a chance, and it really never should have gotten this far. So basically, he tried to rip the state of New Jersey off by sending in a ton of fake signatures, and he did that not only in New Jersey, but he also did it in the state of Illinois. Yes, the home state that he's in. So that information comes from NewJersey.com, but TMZ actually finds out in the state of Illinois the same thing happens. So he goes to the state of Illinois, and he actually ends up submitting over like 3,100 signatures, and they do an evaluation of all of them, and they determine that 1,928 of them were deemed invalid. So he was 1,000 short of the 2,500 needed, more than 1,000 short of the 2,500 needed, and they actually had to pull him from the ballot in the state of Illinois as well. And so again, it was fake names, fake addresses, unregistered in the state of Illinois, and the signatures weren't legible. So he ends up having to be removed. And so he has to take off, if he can't prove these that are like right, he actually has to remove himself by August 21st, or else he can withdraw. Because the state will do it themselves on August 21st. They'll basically say, hey, this isn't like cool, you're removed, and you're withdrawn. So in 2 separate states, the states have said, your signatures are bad, what are you doing? This is wrong, okay? Well, now there's 2 states that this is happening in. And when you do this in more than one state, it can become a problem. And that's when the CNN's analyst, April Ryan, she actually made a statement on her Twitter, and she says two states have now declared that Kanye West is ineligible for the President of the United States ballots due to faulty signatures. And that could actually open him up into an election fraud investigation. And he says, I would imagine other states where reported GOP operatives assisted him to get on the ballot will soon be reviewing. So if you know what's going on, there was a bunch of like intel that there's some people within the Republican Party that are actually trying to get him onto the ballot. And then Kanye admits to Forbes that he's kind of doing this to basically like kill Biden's chance of getting elected. And so with that admission, there was this whole like dust up last week where everyone was like, we need to cancel the Kardashians, we need to cancel Kanye, we need to boycott all of these companies, we need to hit them where it counts because Kanye is literally messing with our democracy. Well, now April Ryan is saying, now that there's 2 states that are basically saying that these signatures are faulty or fraudulent, he could end up getting a entire federal like investigation for voter fraud and election fraud. And that actually carries up to 3 years in prison. So if these states band together and the feds get involved, Kanye could not only not be running for president, but he could also end up getting convicted and spending 3 years in prison for fraudulently attempting to get onto the ballot with fake signatures. Seriously. Now, if this isn't a cue that he needs to somehow get the people in his life to help him get help, or he needs to wake up to get help, I don't know what else is. Like, in what world would a billionaire, he says he's a billionaire, I don't know if he's actually a billionaire, would take these lengths to actually like say, I'm going to falsify documents to get on the presidential election? Like, who is guiding this man that makes this decision? And if April's right and he could get prosecuted for this, like, imagine the downfall here. Because not only now is he upsetting people in the democracy, but he's also upsetting the federal government by trying to fake his way onto the ballot. And that's not cool. Like, this is a guy that says that he loves to be like authentic and true, and he talks about how much he loves Jesus and how much he loves God and like how good of a person he is. And yet 2 states have found that his documents are fraudulent. Like, that's criminal. So, moral of the story is he has literally no one in his life that's helping him or guiding him, or he's literally, if he does, he's totally saying, I don't care about you, and he's making these horrible decisions. But this lack of getting help now could ultimately end up with him going to prison. That's really tragic. So what do you think about April Ryan's assertion? Now, again, she's just a political analyst, but she is very well read. She is all over the place. She's on CNN. She does stuff for New York Times. I mean, this woman knows politics. And if she's saying something like that, I really do have a hunch that something could be coming down the pike, because other people have been prosecuted for less and actually sentenced to prison. So what are your thoughts? Could he go to prison? Could he come up with election fraud? Do you think this is like the means, another like step for like a means to the end for Kanye? And what do you think about these fake signatures? Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye, guys.